This is Wes, doing things a little different. Um, Sitting out here in my super secret man cave thing or whatever. Um, been actually searching through YouTube looking for people that were actually trying to give me useful information. Uh, and you watch the videos, and then to make sure you've got everything covered, you understand everything, you go down into the comments, you read the comments. You know, hopefully, if somebody asks a question or makes a dumb statement, the creator will respond to it in some way or another. I I'm not the best. I try. I spend quite a lot of time replying to comments on videos that make absolutely no sense at all. I mean, the people completely miss the entire gist of what's going on in the conversation. But um, there are and a lot of them are probably trolls. I get that. But there really are a lot of individuals out there who say that their intent is to just pay attention and get their stuff from other people when or if something falls apart. Rather than waste their time and resources on it, they will just go get it from someone else. They're going to be marauders, is what they're saying. Be a few different kinds of marauders that come about in a total, collapse of the system. There's going to be people that were planning on it, people that were conditioned white until it happened. They got lucky. They got their little uh, TWD group going together where everybody clicked. They're helping each other out, but they're still on the road. They're scavenging. They're getting the stuff where they can. Um, it's going to be deliberate or accidental or desperate people out there doing that. But they're all going to fail. Eventually, they will fail. They're it's not a sustainable ideology. Okay, group of 15 marauders aren't going to be able to take over a farm and eat all the groceries, and they can't spend all their time. They can't keep the family alive to do all the farm work to keep the groceries going so that everybody can eat. You see what I'm saying? I mean, so here's why, or some of the reasons I think they're going to fail. Number one, the time I looked down at my phone made noise. Sorry. Number one, those of us that have stuff that have been preparing, that saw the potential for catastrophe, we have made plans to keep it. If we plan to keep it, then we have a plan. Just because we intend on keeping it, just because you intend on keeping it, though, remember this part. Just because you intend on keeping it doesn't mean you have a plan to keep it. Where do you have it? What's going on around you? Can you keep your stuff where you're at? Do you have people to back you up? Do you have, yeah, it's going to require some form of infrastructure. And Lobo, the lone wolf, is always looking for a pack. He's not Lobo because he wants to be. He's Lobo because he's got nobody. Because it's a hard life. 4 or 5 years compared to 7 or 8 in a pack. Thieves run with thieves. This is number two. There is not honor among thieves. They're not going to be able to trust one another. Therefore, they're not going to be able to rest around each other. It'll be um, the strongest gets to lead thing, and the strongest picks his favorites, and they get more and more and more. It's not going to be no. We're going to get together and work as a team and just go around and collect all the stuff and share it equally. That's not. There's not going to be no um, utopian society where the Marauders all get along. You're going to wind up turning on each other, stealing from each other. They're they're not going to be able to form a cohesive group. They're not the kind of people you could trust. So they're not going to be able to trust each other, despite what all them people want to tell you. Um, Again, just because they can't trust it, they can't trust each other, you can't trust them. You have to have a plan to deal with marauders. Have I mentioned that before? You have to have skills. You have to have abilities. Not just, equipment is nothing. If I have a gallon of gas and a pack of matches, it does not mean that I can start a sustainable fire. Chances are, if I don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to die a horrible, painful death. Okay? You need a plan. A plan requires training and exercise and intent. You have to want it to happen. You have to make it happen. You have to be ready to make it happen. Um, Number three, they're going to run out of lone wolves. They're, they will go around to all the individuals or family places first. Honestly, they will. The two brothers that got their wife and kids holed up in a cabin in the woods with 3 years worth of groceries and 50,000 rounds of ammunition and a Laws rocket or whatever. Claymores, the whole 9 yards. Guess what? Chances are at least a few of those marauders played Call of Duty. They didn't have a clue. They may not have any real skills. They may not have any real experience. But they're not planning on playing by any rules. There's not going to be any rules of engagement. Okay. You know, if they have to wait outside your house for 2 or 3 days to snag your little girl or your little boy or your wife or whatever, and you know, chain her to a tree where you can see her and say, walk out with nothing but your chonies on, we'll leave you a knife and a step ladder. Okay? When they run out of you guys that don't have a group, then they'll start dying, and they'll start dying fast. You come up, why 4 adults could hold off and make it hard for them to get to the stuff. 14 adults are going to be able to hold off 28, 30, 40. It's not going to be worth their trouble. So get a group. So y'all can plan together. So y'all can make training together. So you can make it happen together. And four, they Marauders don't have a base of operation. So if they're out of stuff at the last place they raided and they're looking for another place to raid, chances are they're not going to burn you out because they want your house too. Here's the rough part. While they may kill all the adults or all the males or whatever, depending on their particular taste, there are probably going to be people that don't get killed. So don't be, I can't harp on this enough. Get a plan, get people, Get people in your corner. Be in other people's corner. Remember, when you join a group, you be the person in that group that you want everyone else to be in your group. And it'll work. They're not going to have a base of operations. This is Vector 4. They're not going to have a base of operations. They're going to be tired. They're going to be stressed. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to be acting out of desperation a lot. Even the ones that planned it eventually, but man, it's getting harder and harder to find food. Okay, yeah, I know we need to scope this place a little bit longer or whatever, but man, we ain't eating in 2 days. We don't do something quick, we're not going to have the strength to do it. They're going to eat, going to make a mistake, they're going to die because they don't have a place to hoard their food. You know, they can't. Uh, let's assume it's an EMP or even, well, just about anything. Buying fuel in a place where the economy's crashed and there's no trucks going up and down the road, you're not going to buy gasoline. You're not going to buy diesel. You're not going to, justifiably, you're not going to be able to put your cooking oil in your diesel truck and drive around on it. Yeah, you can make biodiesel and stuff, but while you're making biodiesel, who's watching the rest of the farm? And the fifth reason that Marauders will probably fail eventually is that preparedness minded people are all to some degree training to deal with Marauders. Notice there's a theme there to a degree. Marauders aren't going to fail without help. The more lone wolves there are out there, the longer the Marauders will succeed. The more points A, B, C, D, E, F, G they will have to go from here to here to here to here. At first, they'll kill, maim, slaughter, hoard this stuff, keep their slaves. You know, some of them at first, they won't even want to keep slaves. They'll cut some of you loose out into the nothings, and then you're stuck. You become a problem for somebody else, unless the person you run into wasn't the lone wolf kind of guy who says, you know what, it's me and mine. Anybody comes up on my dirt, I'm just going to shoot them and ask questions of the dead corpse. There's, I'm a cold-blooded killer, Fantasyland, prepping, and then there's, man, what do I really need to do to make sure that my loved ones and myself have the best chance of continuing to live a enjoyable life in the event of some major catastrophe or collapse. I mean, what do I have to do? What do I have to sacrifice? What extra work do I have to do? What do I have to concede? You can't be the standalone. I mean, you can have a group of alpha males that get together and talk stuff out, but you can't be the alpha male that refuses to bend. And in a world without rule of law, a dictator is going to find it hard to be alive. Back in the day, what daddy died of a mysterious illness, his 12-year-old boy ascended to the throne, was acting just like his daddy. 12-year-old boy died at 13. People aren't going to put up with that crap. If your neighbors realize that that's what you're going on, because that kind of stuff spreads. If your neighbors, the other groups out there, realize that you're the dictator group, so Well, they're going to become a co-op, and well, yeah, nobody's going to be going on y'all's property, but y'all aren't going to be leaving it either. Fair's fair. Get over yourself. Daniel Boone spent all that time alone, not out in the woods camping and hunting and stuff, breaking trail with large groups of other men because you just didn't go out there by yourself. Make a better life for his wife and children and his extended family and his friends. He worked together with other men to make life better. Lone wolfing it doesn't make it. Being a dictatorial, isolationist group is not going to make it. Marauders are going to fail for the same reasons. They just fail for the reasons at the get-go. A couple months into it. The Maraud and stuff, I believe, will be done by about 6 months into it. If there was a major collapse tomorrow, the Marauders would be gone. They'll take a lot of people with them, but they'll be gone in 6 months. They're just then we'll have to deal with less than adequately prepared people who um, are rather well armed that become the new, more skilled. They're not going to be. I don't know if I don't know what you call them. They're still Marauders, but those are going to be the last ones standing, and they're going to be a real problem. That doesn't matter. This whole who you are, what kind of prepper you're going to be, that's what matters. It all boils down to if you're a prepper or a non-prepper, you're still a person. What kind of person are you? What are your core values? For a group to work, listen to me, this is hard. Then people are missing this. For a group to work, it has to be what your core values are. Your core values have to sync. Your core beliefs can be different to some degree, to actually a large degree, as long as your values are the same. That Hindi guy over there, he wants to love his wife, children, feed them, care for them, keep them safe. He wants to have friends. He doesn't care that I believe in a different God. He wants me to be able to care for my wife and my children and keep them safe and fed. We share the same values. We share the same core values. I can let that other slide. Everybody needs to be able to. Now, there are some of them out there that da da da. If you got a fanatic, you got a fanatic, and you don't need a fanatic. It's not in a group like that. Don't be fanatical towards somebody else. There's only one. The last time I checked, there was only one perfect man. He's not any of us. Okay? I want all you people to stay alive and not dying. I'm sorry this is so long. Shout out to all my patrons. Y'all rock. Um, I finally got enough money to buy the thing that I'm making this video on. Y'all can't see it, but say hello to my little laptop. Again, you people rock. Stella, no, that didn't stop. It's not a touchscreen. Hold on. Let's try that again. I'm learning, okay?